What it do, YouTube? It's your boy, I'm Blessed, bringing you some wide receiver action, man. I know I haven't been bringing you guys these videos like I said I would, so I'm dropping them all right now, man. They all gonna drop today. I'm bringing them all out today. I don't even care how long it takes, but they all getting dropped today. So here we go, man. Top wide receiver is gonna be Marquise Lee, coming out of USC, man. Last year he had a breakout season. The year prior to that, Robert Woods was the man in USC, and then just this past year, Robert Woods' production went down just a little bit, and Marquise Lee ended up surpassing him. That's why I think Robert Woods' stock went down just a little bit in the draft. He could have went a little higher if he came out when he was supposed to. But anyway, man, let's go ahead and move on. 97, top wide receiver. Clemson got 95, and Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins is a absolute monster. I think he's been a monster since his freshman year. That's just my opinion. Jared Abdaris, Jordan Matthews, Mike Davis, Josh Huff, out of Oregon. So Oregon's got one of the top wide receivers. Jez Reynolds, Jackson Shipley, little Jordan Shipley's little brother. You know what I'm saying? So he's following his brother's footsteps. Devin Smith, Cody Hoffman, Amari Cooper, Eric Ward, you know what I'm saying? You got Josh Stewart. Some of these guys, man, just some big names, some underrated players, but I mean, I think the wide receivers are where they should be. So let's go ahead and move into speed as the fastest wide receivers in the game. Sammy Watkins in Clemson, Bryce Treggs out of Cal, you know what I'm saying? Vince Mile, Washington, Bruce Ellington, South Carolina, Corey Brown, you know what I'm saying? So Kevin Smith out of the University of Washington, Andre DeBose. So some speed at the wide receiver position. So I mean, you guys shouldn't have a shortage of speed. Even A&M, you know what I'm saying? LaQuaviante Gonzalez, however you pronounce his name. 77 overall, but he does have the speed if you guys want to put him in that returner or something like that. So but yeah, the top wide receivers, you know what I'm saying, you got Corey Brown out of Ohio State, and then Sammy Watkins, probably the two faster, well-rounded players. Strength wise, you know what I'm saying, you're looking at 75 as strong as Florida State's wide receiver. Florida State always manages to get strong wide receivers. So right here rounds out the strength of the wide receivers. Nothing too serious, nothing to go crazy over, you know what I'm saying? So right here, agility. These guys that make cuts in big ways, man. They about to make some cuts. You don't even have to use a juke stick real quick, you know what I'm saying? They just go ahead and make that move. So Marquise Lee, you know what I'm saying? I got to point him out every time I go down, you know what I'm saying? This USC thing. So Demetrius Evans, you know what I'm saying? So some pretty good players, man. Some pretty good agile players. If you guys are looking to play with some of these guys, A&M's freshman, you might want to sub him in from time to time. Maybe give him a little return action, you know what I'm saying? So if you guys play with some of these teams, I know, like, you know what I'm saying, the Vandals. Nobody's really going to play with the Vandals other than Vandals fans, you know what I'm saying? UCF. Nobody's going to play online with UCF unless you're a UCF fan. So just go ahead and take a look, man. Some of these ratings are really good, man. I'm just trying to show y'all the best at each position. Right here, acceleration. You got Miles Schuler out of Rutgers. Corey Brown, once again, comes out as one of the top wide receivers in the game, speed-wise. Andre coming out of Florida, you know what I'm saying? You got Boise State's wide receiver with his 95 speed, 99 acceleration. Eric Ward, Texas Tech. Jeremy Gallen, Michigan. Stefan Diggs out of Maryland. So some good speed coming out of these big schools that players like to play with. So I mean, you really can't go wrong, man. Derrick Hopkins. So he had some big plays last year, man. If you guys watch college football, this man has some big plays. He's a person to watch. He is a good player to watch. If you guys are just a fan of the game, not even just a fan of a certain team, but just a fan of the game, man. So acceleration, there's a lot of acceleration on here. So wide receivers probably have one of the top accelerations in the game. Look at all this. They just take off. So awareness-wise, I think Marquise Lee should be up there. Yeah, he is. So Jordan Matthews, Marquise Lee, and Tavares Jefferson comes out on top. So nothing really serious, you know what I'm saying, coming out of awareness. So everybody's pretty much equal. Nobody's really great at the awareness position, so there's really no need to really worry about that unless you start to get into the low 70s and below. Maybe you guys may have some problems trying to get these guys open, maybe trying to make a block or two. So breaking tackles right here, man. You got a man coming out of the herd, you know what I'm saying? Mizzou. You got Louisville wide receiver, East Carolina's wide receiver, Illinois. You know what I'm saying? So you guys got some breaking tackled wide receivers in some decent spots. So Texas, you know what I'm saying? If you guys play with Texas, little Shipley, baby Shipley, will break a few tackles if he needs to. So go ahead and check that out. Trucking, not really anything to go crazy over. The man with the best trucking is a 5'8", 170 dude out of Old Dominion. So other than that, man, everybody's else pretty equal across the board with the mid to low 70s. So nothing really crazy. I just went to the tight end spots. Elusiveness, something a lot of people like to see on in a stat line, is the elusiveness of a player. Sammy Watkins, one of the best to get away. Jamal Turner, Gary Bush, Vince Sanders, Shane Wynn, Andre DeBose, Vince Mile, Darius Jennings out of Virginia, you know what I'm saying? So these guys are pretty much up there, top elusive wide receivers in the game. What am I doing? Ball carrier vision, nothing really serious there unless you're letting the CPU take over for you. Stiff arm, if you want to know who can stiff arm and who can't. The 5'8" out of Old Dominion, you know what I'm saying? He's doing big things with his stiff arm and his trucking. Brandon Terry will shove some dudes. Jalen Fitzpatrick, Derek Griffin, Arizona State's Ellis Jefferson, freshman. So a handful of freshmen, man. I think overrating the freshmen real quick without even seeing them play other than their high school tapes. So we're just going to keep going down. Aaron Solinder, Georgia Tech. So stiff arm, not really stiff arm. If you playing with wide receiver, try not to stiff arm. I guess it really wouldn't work. Devontae Neal, Greg Dent, Javante Herndon, however you say his name. It's a little awkward. Gary Bush, Marcus Lucas, Richard Smith, Kevin White, Jakeem Grant, you know what I'm saying? So some spin guys, nothing, everybody's around the 80s. So you got a lot of players around the 80s. Make sure you check your wide receivers out before you put them in and decide, you know what, which is the best attribute that they have, because you don't want to just throw somebody in and thinking, oh, everybody should be able to spin away from a defender. If you're a wide receiver, you should have good spin. Some of these guys don't, man. These juke moves, probably the most vicious move in the game. Something you guys want to keep an eye on. Jackson Shipley, you know what I'm saying? Baby Shipley's got one of the most nastiest jukes for wide receivers. Keep going down. You got Oregon, Keenan Lowe. Who else we got? You know what I'm saying? So if you got, I'm mainly trying to look for the big schools. Marquise Lee, you know what I'm saying? Malcolm Kennedy, some of the big schools that a lot of people play with. Oregon, so Mizzou. I don't know if you guys play with Mizzou. I haven't seen any Mizzou gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Ray Stutzman out of Hawaii. Darren Waller, Justin Hardy, you know what I'm saying? Keenan Canty, Jordan Hamilton out of the Air Force, Jazz Peavy, Wisconsin. So right there you start to go down into the mid to low 80s. Why do I keep doing that? Carry wise, you want to see who can hold on to the ball, who can't. So Utah, who else we got? We got Harris out of Wake Forest. Bradley, you got Lauderdale from Texas Tech, freshman. Who else we got? Big schools. Tennessee. You got Paul Harris, freshman. Might want to throw him in. If you're throwing it down the middle or trying to get a big play and not drop the ball. So ball security is important in this game, man, because you never know when the fumble's going to happen, how it's going to happen. So carry is pretty important in this game. Here we go. The most important stat for wide receivers. Catching wise, the best catcher in the game is Cody Hoffman out of BYU. Marquise Lee is right up there. Jez Reynolds, Oklahoma. Vanderbilt's wide receiver. Tulane. You got Texas is Mike Davis, the All-American. Matt Miller from Boise State, if anybody plays with Boise. Amari Cooper, one of the best hands in the game. Who else? Wisconsin. You got Mike Evans. Rashad Green, Florida State. Devante Herndon. So Washington's wide receiver. You got Texas Tech's wide receiver. Who else? Penn State. I haven't seen any Penn State game plays this year yet. Allen Robinson. Ohio State's Devin Smith. So some pretty good catching, man. A lot of these wide receivers can catch, so you really can't go wrong in the catching category with any team, basically. I mean, Louisville, LSU, Oregon, you know what I'm saying? Alabama. So you really can't go wrong with catching. A lot of these catching skills are pretty up there, you know what I'm saying? But if you're trying to get for spec catch, right here you got Jackson Shipley, Brandon Carter, Sammy Watkins, so Jazz Reynolds. So if you guys want to ask my opinion, who's the best wide receivers in the game, overall I'd probably say Sammy Watkins and Jackson Shipley, and then right behind that I'd probably go Marquise Lee. Just overall speed, agility, catching, receiving, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. I'll put them up there. So you got these big school guys, Alabama, Ohio State still, Devin Smith is right there amongst one of the top wide receivers in the game. Louisville's Devante Parker, Florida State's Rashad Green, more Alabama, you know what I'm saying, some Ohio State again. So some of these big schools, man, I got a lot of big schools. I'm just trying to show you guys the big schools, the teams that people usually play with. Catching traffic, you want to know who's going to hold on to the ball. Marquise Lee's going to hold on to that ball. Sharon Peak, coming out of Clemson, is going to hold on to the ball. Sammy Watkins will always hold on to that ball. Eric Ward, you got Mike Evans, Arkansas. I haven't seen anybody play with Arkansas, but I know there's a lot of Arkansas fans out there. Devante Herndon, Devante Parker, Ross Oppo, Julian Horton, that's LSU's wide receiver, Jarvis Landry, Christian Jones, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Clemson once again. So those guys round out the top catching traffic receivers. Route running, Mike Davis, Clemson, Florida State, you know what I'm saying? So checking out these route running abilities, it's not too bad, man. You really can't go wrong. A lot of these guys, you should have at least somebody on your squad with an 80 and up route running ability. So look at all of this, you know what I'm saying? Maybe even 83 and up. I'd probably go 84 and up. There's a lot of wide receivers out there, so you really can't go wrong with any of that with route running. So route running shouldn't be an issue. Jumping, I don't think jumping should be an issue as well. A lot of these guys can jump. I don't know who the tallest wide receiver in the game is, but I guess we could look if you guys want. So right now it's Rutgers 6'6". So we're gonna. Oh, who else is 6'6"? University of Miami's freshman, 6'6", 214. So if you need a red zone threat, here he is. You know what I'm saying? Derek Griffin. If you guys play with Miami, a bunch of 6'5s. Good. Alright, that's enough of that. So, you guys found out who the top 2 tallest guys are at Rutgers and Miami. So if you guys need red zone threats and you guys play with either of those teams, you got a 6'6", and there's a handful of 6'5" guys out there too. So you really can't go wrong with that. See if any of these guys can play defense. Yeah, man. Michigan's wide receiver can play some D. He can also play some zone. Georgia's wide receiver can do the same thing. Nebraska. Some of these guys can play defense if you guys need them to. If you're hurting for injuries, return guys, best return guys, return wide receivers. You got Christian Jones, Cyrus Jones, both out of Alabama. Alabama's got probably one of the best return games in the game. Marquise Lee is right there. I wouldn't use him though, especially if you guys play with USC, because he will get tired. He'll end up getting hurt, man. So I wouldn't try and use him too much. Corey Brown, Ohio State, Alabama again. You know what I'm saying? Who else? You got LSU, Alabama once again. So the best returning guys in the game come from Alabama. You got Oklahoma, some Michigan. You know what I'm saying? But the best returning guys are the guys with the speed, especially if you're using them. So you really don't have to worry about anything. Stamina-wise, I haven't seen stamina really be an issue in this game. I haven't played much, but stamina hasn't seemed to be a real big issue with injuries or going down. These guys are really resilient compared to Madden. You get tired of Madden, you guys fumbling the ball, throwing interceptions, getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't really seen that be an issue. But right here, if you guys are playing the game, these are 2 softest players in the game. Right here, they got no backbone. They soft. They don't drink their milk. They get hurt every time they step on the field. So don't play with these dudes. If you guys want to see who the slowest wide receiver is, go ahead and make it happen. Bam, right there. You got a handful of them. All of them slow. So take note. If you are any of these guys that watch my videos, you are the slowest players in this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. But that's it for wide receivers, man. I'm going to get y'all tight ends next. And I'm going to holler at y'all later. Deuces, y'all.